Welcome, connoisseurs of truth and seekers of the stories behind the stories. You have tuned into Mr. Magazine, the digital sanctuary where we refuse to skim the surface of celebrity culture, preferring instead to dive into the crushing depths of the emotions that drive it. If you are tired of the fleeting, superficial headlines that vanish as quickly as they appear, you have found your home. Before we begin today's journey into a moment of raw, unscripted vulnerability that has left the entertainment world reeling, please ensure you have subscribed to our channel. For those of you who wish to be the pillars of this community, allowing us to continue this independent, high-caliber journalism, we invite you to click the Join button below. Your support is the lifeblood of our storytelling. And as always, your voice is the chorus to our narrative. So prepare your thoughts, for the comment section awaits your judgment. Now, let us turn our gaze to a studio in Istanbul, where a man known for his silence finally decided to speak, and in doing so, ignited a firestorm that refuses to die down. In the grand, often performative theater of the entertainment industry, silence is usually a commodity, a strategic tool used to cultivate mystery or protect the fragile ecosystem of a private life. Yet, there are rare, transformative moments when that silence is shattered not by a scandal, but by a whisper of truth so potent that it lands with the concussive force of a thunderclap. This week, the architect of such a moment was none other than Alp Navruz, an actor whose trajectory from a promising young lead to a household name has been defined by a disciplined, almost stoic commitment to privacy. He is a man who has historically allowed his work to serve as his only spokesperson, building high walls around his inner world to keep the prying eyes of the tabloids at bay. However, during a recent televised broadcast, those carefully constructed fortifications did not just crack, they crumbled entirely. In a departure from his usual measured demeanor, Alp Navruz delivered a confession that has since lit up the digital landscape, a sentence so heavy with implication that it felt less like an interview answer and more like a vow etched into stone. The setting was standard, bright studio lights, a polished host, the hum of cameras, but the atmosphere shifted the instant the topic of love was broached. For an artist celebrated for his ability to deflect personal inquiries with polite, ambiguous platitudes, what followed was startlingly unshielded. There was no rehearsal in his eyes, no PR-approved filter in his voice. He sat there, composed yet unmistakably vulnerable, allowing the lens to capture a raw honesty that had perhaps been suppressed for too long. He breathed in, appearing to weigh the gravity of the words accumulating on his tongue, and then, with a calm solemnity that commanded absolute attention, he released them. "If I ever get married, it will only be to Alina Boz." The silence that followed that declaration was profound, a cathedral pause where the air in the room seemed to thicken with the weight of the admission. It was a sentence that refused to compromise, a statement devoid of maybes or perhaps. Then, the inevitable ripple effect began. The broadcast had barely concluded before the internet erupted into a chaotic symphony of disbelief, elation, hesitancy, and overwhelming nostalgia. It was as if a dormant volcano had suddenly awakened. Timelines across Twitter and Instagram were instantly flooded with side-by-side photographs, fan-made edits, and clipped scenes from a past that many had thought was closed. The collective memory of the public was jolted back to the era of Elmi Bırakma, the series that first introduced the magnetic, undeniable chemistry between Alp Navruz and Alina Boz to the world. It was a project that had done more than just achieve high ratings, it had carved out a permanent corner in the pop culture psyche, creating a ship that transcended the screen. We must pause here for a moment, dear viewers, to ask a question that touches the heart of fandom. Do you believe that on-screen chemistry always leaves a permanent mark on the actors' real lives? Or is it simply a mirage that we, the audience, refuse to let go of? We are incredibly curious to read your theories in the comments below. To fully understand the magnitude of this confession, one must look backward. Behind the scenes of their shared projects, whispers had always followed Alp and Alina, sometimes a gentle murmur of speculation, other times a roar of rumors. Hovering in that delicate space where professional respect and personal affection blur. Their eventual separation had occurred quietly, without the scandal or spectacle that usually accompanies celebrity breakups. It was a closed door, dignified and silent, leading many to assume that the book had been burned. And yet, with this single, vulnerable sentence, Alp Navruz essentially reached into the ashes and pulled out a burning coal, reigniting a story the public had never quite finished reading. During the interview, his words flowed with a sincerity that seemed to catch even the seasoned host off guard. The steadiness of his posture was betrayed only by a fleeting softness in his eyes, a tremor in his voice that signaled just how deeply this truth was rooted in his soul. He did not stop at the initial declaration, which in itself would have been enough to dominate headlines for a month. He pressed forward, as if the dam had broken and he could no longer hold back the tide of his reality. "There has only ever been one person who held that place in my life," he elaborated, choosing a brutal simplicity over dramatic spectacle. "There is no alternative for me." This was not a publicity stunt wrapped in qualifiers, it was the sound of a man letting his heart catch up to his public persona. It felt like an admission of a love that had survived distance, time, and the shifting architecture of fame. As the confession ricocheted across screens from Istanbul to South America, interpretations began to multiply like wildflowers after a storm. For the legions of romantic idealists, this was a bright signal of hope, a lighthouse beam cutting through the fog, suggesting that their romance was merely on pause, not deleted. For others, it was read as a melancholic acknowledgement. Not a plea for reunion, but a humble admission that some feelings are immutable, destined to endure regardless of circumstance. Inside the labyrinthine corridors of the entertainment press, the reaction was immediate and intense. Low murmurs grew into urgent, careful conversations among journalists. Some tabloid voices, citing anonymous sources, insisted that the inner circle of Alina Boz was taken completely by surprise by the sudden clarity and directness of Alp's statement. Others suggested that Alina, a woman who has turned the protection of her privacy into an art form, was fully aware of the sentiment, if not the public timing. Her response, thus far, has been the most powerful response of all: absolute silence. But in the world of celebrity, silence is rarely empty, it is a canvas upon which 100 interpretations are painted. Is her silence a shield, protecting a fragile reconnection? Is it a pause to breathe and process the weight of being named someone's only one in front of millions? Or is it simply the elegant restraint of a woman who knows that true emotion loses its value when packaged for public consumption? As is always the case in this industry, uncertainty became fertile soil for speculation. Theories bloomed within hours. "Are they getting back together?" became the most repeated question of the night, trending globally. Seasoned industry observers noted that this kind of direct, emotionally luminous confession is exceptionally rare for Alp Navruz. Throughout his career, he has walked the razor-thin line between visibility and mystery with masterful control. He knows exactly where to place a boundary. Yet, in this instance, he threw the gate open. This suggests that his feelings have matured in a way that made continued silence feel less like protection and more like a lie. Sometimes, the heart simply demands air, regardless of the consequences. Before we analyze the industry's deeper take on this, let me remind you, if you are enjoying this detailed breakdown, please hit the like button. It helps the YouTube algorithm show this video to more people who care about quality reporting. And don't forget, our join button is right there for those who want to support Mr. Magazine directly. Meanwhile, whispers from deep within the industry have begun to paint Alp's declaration as less of an impulsive outburst and more of a measured, deliberate step. Insiders are calling it a bridge, a structure extended across the void toward a past that clearly still holds immense meaning for him. Sources close to the actor describe his recent months as deeply reflective. He has been, they say, weighing the true shape of companionship in a life otherwise curated by grueling shooting schedules, heavy expectations, and the constant, unblinking gaze of the public. He seems to have reached a conclusion that success is hollow if shared with the wrong person, or worse, with no one at all. Whether a reconciliation stands on the horizon remains the great unanswered question. No official statement has emerged from Alina Boz's camp, and those who know her best emphasize, as ever, that she values her peace above all else. You can almost hear the chorus of public opinion urging something grand, a public reply, a shared photo, a sign. Yet, there is a distinct poise in her quietude, a poise that invites patience rather than pressure. Fans, however, continue to be captivated by the mere possibility. The openness Alp displayed is rare at his level of stardom, and the good faith transparency of his words felt like an invitation to imagine a future shaped more by sincerity than by the artificial spectacle of celebrity dating. When a confession carries this much soul, the conversation inevitably shifts. It becomes less about the gossip of who is dating whom and more about the universal human experience of holding on to love across the years, across different versions of ourselves. It forces us to ask, can a love that was forged in the past survive the person we have become in the present? Alp Navruz seems to believe the answer is yes. For now, the world watches and waits. The story is evolving not through grand gestures or paparazzi shots, not yet, but through words that refuse to evaporate into the ether. They linger in the air, echoing with the resonance of what was, and the tantalizing possibility of what might still be. In the intersecting worlds of art, acclaim, and genuine human connection, moments like these serve as a potent reminder of why audiences remain so faithful to celebrity narratives. We do not return for the glamour alone, nor for the curated perfection of staged photographs. We return for the cracks in the armor, for the moment when the script is discarded, and the heart speaks. Alp Navruz has given us one of those rare moments, and in doing so, he has reminded us all that even under the brightest lights, the most powerful force remains the simple, terrifying honesty of love. As we bring this chapter to a close, the question hangs in the air like smoke: will Alina Boz answer the call, or will this confession remain a beautiful, solitary monument to a love that once was? This is a story that is far from over, and you can be certain that Mr. Magazine will be here to chronicle every twist and turn. We want to hear from you, the heartbeat of this channel. Do you think Alp Navruz's public declaration was a romantic gesture of the highest order, or did it place unfair pressure on Alina? Who would you like to see us cover next in our deep dive series? Let us know in the comments below. If this video spoke to you, please like, share, and subscribe to ensure you never miss an update. And for those who want to help us keep the lights on and the stories coming, please consider hitting that join button to become an exclusive member of the Mr. Magazine family. Until the next story unfolds, stay curious, stay kind, and remember, sometimes, the truth is the only script that matters. This is Mr. Magazine, signing off.